Support for this podcast comes from the patrons at patreon.com/FMLFPL. Okay! Welcome to FMLFPL on the lawn.
This Walsh.
What's up, dude?
Hey.
We're back
Yep.
for the public. That's what you would have wanted.
Yep.
Hasn't been a game in a long time. We can skip all the shit.
Yeah.
We can start wherever we want. We can do whatever we want. Do you want to go? Would you rather just go straight into your wild card, or would you rather talk about the UCL games and those teams?
I think the UCL games first and then wild card second.
Okay.
Why don't we start with Chelsea? I mean, we got our first Pothead Potter experience with all of his new toys. You know,
Yeah.
I know you watched that one. I missed it live.
Yeah.
What'd you see there from an FPL takeaway perspective?
Well, like when the lineup first came out, everyone was like, "Whoa, 4 at the back," and I was one of the people that was like, "I think it's still 3. I just can't figure out who the left wing back is," and it ended up being Raz. I mean, he was the furthest forward player on Chelsea in that Trossard kind of role, and he ends up scoring the goal because he's Raz and he's a god. But it was interesting. But the good thing was Reece was back to doing all the good Reece stuff: final third, box, byline, crosses, shots, etc. And Chilwell was back to doing all his good stuff, which is left center back, which is also his best position.
Kukurea.
Sorry, Kukurea.
Jesus Christ.
Hey,
God, I'm here to watch you.
Yeah, thank you. And that was, those were my main takeaways. I thought like it was the best performance probably of the season. You know, the XG wasn't outstanding or anything, but they were good. They were definitely the better team. They were inches away from creating like multiple big chances. But you know, from a wildcard perspective, I definitely thought about you when the lineup came out and saw no Fofana, no Koulibaly. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. I guess you just remove Fofana from your tinkers.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure that I'm not going to go with him. I'm still like kind of looking at the options there and thinking, you know, it's not, even though there are 5 subs, if he doesn't start games, it's not that likely that he'll sub on. You know, does it stress my 4-0 defenders too much?
Yeah.
I still just believe that he's in their best 11. And I kind of expect that to just shake itself out.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously like the youngest and probably carries the least amount of cachet in the locker room of all of those players there, right? Koulibaly, Tilv, Aspil, whatever. So from that standpoint, I could see why Potter would go with kind of the veterans in the first game.
Yeah.
I would be absolutely floored and stunned if Aspil's playing regularly in this team. But I everything you're saying about James is exactly why he was in our Game Week 1 teams. We were just getting, Tucheled by him playing center back. And now, we see
Elmo. That's a good fucking team name.
We see him, playing in the positions that we were used to seeing him take up last year.
Yeah.
With more solidity, down the spine, even without Conte, they didn't give up too many sniffs. Yeah, so James is kind of back in my thoughts, probably going to hide him and, put him in trips as my 2 starters until the World Cup and then fuck around with the 3rd spot for the other 3 is sort of how my tinkers have evolved from that. Yeah.
And then we got questions from Chuck Norwich and Bolter about Raz. And, we got a question from Jitterbug also about, you said on the pod, their defense might improve, but is there a rogue attacking pick you might like, or is it still too early days? I mean, it feels too early, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Raz is 10 million, the most expensive wingback you've ever seen in this game, right? I mean, he's, for all intents and purposes, not actually a wingback, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's sort of us shorthanding it because it's what we're used to, but he is more just a wide forward, basically.
Yeah, he's a very, very wide forward. Yeah.
Yeah. You look at all of these fixtures for them up until the World Cup, and they don't play any of the top four except for Arsenal at home. They do have a lot of away games, and they only have one good home fixture until the World Cup, home Wolves game week 10. Do you want to throw 10 at Raz, while they're trying to figure out what's going on? Yeah, there's risk reward there, right? I mean, other than Raz, though, I mean, there's just no option, really. There's
no
just
option.
Absolutely no option right now.
Broja looks like their best forward. So
Yeah,
how can you reasonably pick Kai or Obbs when like that's happening? But on the note of Raz in the away games, I mean, I look at the matchups, just the next four: at Palace, home Wolves, at Villa, at Brentford. I mean, that's four teams that are going to sit back and counter. Just straight up.
Well, we probably won't at home. We don't usually do that at home.
But I just think it'll be hard for Palace to like dominate possession against Chelsea, which is what Palace wants to do.
We won't dominate possession, but I think we will play. I don't think it's going to be like Wilf up top like you saw when we went to Anfield.
Against
I think
Liverpool.
At home,
so maybe I'm exaggerating
a
little bit, but what the point I'm trying to make is that I think in those four games, for the majority of the time, it will just be Chelsea in the final third, and it will be Raz not wing backing, just in the box and just wide and just like. So I mean, if you want to punt on it, I don't hate it. The other premiums we've kind of talked about a bunch are like, Kev is great, but he has has United, Liverpool, and a blank in the next four. Liverpool have really rough fixtures. Bruno doesn't play, has rough fixtures. There's issues all over the place. Spurs are just maybe bad. So
no, I mean, that is, you can look at it from that process of elimination standpoint. And, okay, they do have 3 aways in the next 4 in the league. Maybe that's not, the counterpoint to that is maybe it's not the worst thing to not, have to go to the bridge all these games and be, subject to Potter out from corners of the bridge, right? And just going to play a few aways, figure out their football, and just kind of play with less pressure on them. They are way better than all 4 of these teams that they're coming up against the next 4. So, it's sure. Could see it, but it's still an expensive proposition to go, 10 Raz after game week 8, or, I mean, for me, right, hiding Raz, like that seems insane.
Hiding Raz
I haven't
is kind
considered
of crazy.
That.
Yeah. But I guess
he's not as like assuredly going to be a great pick to justify hiding, I think.
Right. I guess like the way you would do it, or one would do it. I'm not supporting this at all. I don't really like booking transfers much, but like if you wanted to go with the Spurs, if you wanted to go on the Son, home Leicester, and just pray that he starts, then they have at Arsenal. Maybe you jump off him there and go Son to Raz or something like that. But I don't know if I like it.
Yeah, and I mean, hiding a player is assuming that you're going through at the back this week. An attacker is not really that big of a cost because you play Pereira.
Yep,
it's fine. I mean, that's just a good starter, right? I mean, he's. So that's also something, if in the light of not booking a transfer with the IB coming up, that kind of thing, and I have played around with that. We'll get there when we talk about my team a little more, but Chelsea, huge. It's just exciting, I think, and fun that, they don't have this, lanky weirdo managing them anymore. And, Potter, we're going to get to see the make of him, right? We're going to see how he does on the big stage with big personalities and, managing in Europe. And we'll see, this is going to be a good test to see what he's made of. So that's
very rare. Like, I feel like it's getting more and more rare as the, gap in financial keeps growing from the the very top teams to the bottom teams, but you just don't see managers get this chance. Like it just seems like they would just rather be like, well, Mourinho's probably a nightmare, but let's just give him a go, or whatever, whoever it is, insert 10 other managers there, then be like there's
10 hogs.
But I love it. I hope it works out. I'm actually rooting for him, which is weird because Chelsea are weird, but let's talk about Spurs, who might be bad.
Aforementioned Spurs, who might be bad.
Yeah, they just straight up might be bad. They were really bad against Sporting. They played them basically evenly, they
had about 15 minutes where they were on top at the beginning of the second half, and that's it.
Yep. and the shots were even, XG a little in Sporting's favor. I mean, they really did nothing to be like, yeah, this is a team that I feel comfortable backing.
Yeah, I mean, and their first Champions League game too wasn't like, oh wow.
Yeah, and
Spurs are
truthfully,
they have looked this way all year.
Yeah, like NFO, I mean, they conceded possession and then got huge chances on the break, which is probably a fine tactic against NFO. Fulham, I thought was probably their best game of the season, and they looked good and created a lot and really just outplayed them. And then the back-to-back really bad performances in the Champions League in 2 games that are heavily favored is not great.
I mean, Seb Coates just standing.
Dude, I cannot believe when I saw his name. I was like, wow.
He's still doing it. Yeah. Ex-Sunday legend, Seb.
It's sort of like how there's just so many actors who they make a living being an actor. They're not famous, but they're just in random ass shit. And that's Seb Coates. He's a professional footballer.
He is. That's what he does. CV. He plies his trade in whichever country and top division that they have.
Whatever.
Is that Besiktas calling? I'm there. Sign me up. I could do a couple tours of duty in Turkey. No problem.
Yeah, whatever. I'm down. Yeah. So Matt W's question was, how do you see Kane, Son at the moment? Do I trust them as 1 week punts? Trust them long term? Forget Son as an option after his performance midweek? I should probably add, I know Son was spoken about, but does anything change after the Champions League game? So, I mean, you're the one on Wildcard. I was also considering going Mo to Son. I mean, where are you at with these guys?
Well, Son has to be completely disregarded at this point. I think you're pretty lunatic stage of denial to put him in your team based on what he's showing us. If there's a player to be rested this weekend, it's him, right? I mean, Conte, we know.
Conte even said so, basically.
Yeah, he said as much, and we do see how all equally maniacal and lunatic-y he is about backing his boys, a la Emerson Royale, somehow coming out with a quote that he's been great. It's like, good. What are you talking about?
He could have scored 3 goals, bro.
Yeah, he could if he had a brain and body transplant. He was a different human being.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, no, he does this all the. Have you watched this player? Because we've been watching him, not even but just we've been watching him. Do you watch him?
I could have scored 3 goals too. I just would have had to have been professional and really good and played.
So
not that far off.
It does feel like he's doing a bad job to me this year, Conte, in terms of how he's picking his team and how he's not adjusting and reacting to game states, and how he kind of does just persist on for too long, right? I mean, those subs that he made in the Sporting game were just too late. When you see this flat performance, knowing that they have a game coming up at the weekend, I mean, dropping Kulusevski for these couple games was, very suspect to me.
Yeah. He's been their best player, probably.
He's been probably their best player. And just watching the imbalance of Kane, Son, and Rich, and they just don't really work that well together right now in the system and the setup. Rich just is a blunt object, just trying to go get headers and, occupy the box. But the creativity, and Son just wants to shoot. He's like, Korean Mahrez at this point now. And it just leaves all of the creativity down to crosses from Perisic or Kane dropping deep and trying to put a long ball in over the top. And that's not enough, which is why they're not scoring any goals or creating any chances. I think it also, to me, when I watch Spurs, is they're them looking good is entirely dependent on the game plan of the opposition. Are they going to, are they going to go full, Silva, Fulham, and just do like, I don't care who you are, we're doing this thing. And then, okay, you're playing right into our hands. Or are you looking at Spurs saying, oh, well, if we just do this, we're, probably going to minimum get a draw and they're not going to do anything to us. So that doesn't, you don't love that. I don't love watching and expecting, results and points and goals from Spurs when it feels so game to game, dependent. They're not going to influence and impose. And, we're going to be creating chances every game. They just haven't been showing that. And until he does go more Inter 3-4-3 and away from this 3-5-2, there's no real reason to believe that would change. So, I'm down on them, certainly. I mean, I don't think you could be anything other than down on them and watching them play the last few games. And, probably
I totally agree with you
season.
on Rich. And obviously Emerson is just a black hole of things. It was kind of exciting to hear Conte mention that, like, Harry could play on the right with Cess on the left, because that would just be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just the amount.
But why
of
would he
improvement.
pick the best two options there when he could keep playing Royale? I don't know. I don't know.
It's a really strong point. The only counterpoint that I would make is that the only reason, absolute only reason that anyone's considering Spurs for this 1 week is because it's home Leicester. And if there's any manager and team that could play into their hands and concede 5, it's Brendan Rodgers Leicester. So, I do get it. If you want to do it, it is a 1 week punt. Don't get it twisted and think you're buying last year's Son or Kane from 2 years ago.
Kane is not, though, because he's still ticking and he still is integral and central to their actions. He's not. He doesn't have that hat trick potential, perhaps, like he used to.
Yeah.
But he's someone you could hold for a little while.
You can hold him. I just don't love holding him.
I agree.
It's like this week. Obviously good, but part of that is Chelsea don't have a game, Man United don't have a game, Liverpool don't have a game.
Yeah. And they have
he very quickly falls down the premium ladder as starting in game week 9. So I get it, but I'm not for it. But on the Perry and Cess situation, Bear said, is it safe to ditch Kulu and Perisic for a few weeks? Tupperware and Visal said, is having Perry and Cess and just choosing one to start based on the leaks trying to be too cute? And then Harley Boy said, what are your thoughts on bringing in Perisic just for the upside chasing against diabolical Leicester? So how are you dealing with this? Because since pre-game week 1, Perisic has been this, and we just still don't know what to do, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really want any part of Perisic right now with all of these games and this pile up and the rotation that he's doing. It's just him subbing on every game is a big problem, right? That to me is the biggest issue. So
the 5 subs is so bad for him.
Yeah. If we had 3 subs, we would be, no problem. The 5 subs is the issue. And the leaks are not reliable. And if they don't play on that first day, like we're still sort of going in blind of just hoping that we're flipping the coin correctly, that, no, this is not going to be the time where he plays 2 games in a week. He's going to split them. We just don't know. We don't know. And I think the leak last game was incorrect, right? 2 or something.
It was
from
something
whoever that Twitter person
Perisic was right, but something else was wrong. I think the guy,
Son was supposed to be.
Yeah, I think the guy thought that Son was going to be rested for Rich and Kulu was rested instead.
Right.
Something like that.
So, that's concerning because without a surefire leak, then you're even working with less information. I'm playing with Sessegnon in my team just because, he's a lot cheap. He's fucking 4-5. So, if I do have any stronger indication of, this is where I could start him, but I'm happy enough to put him on the bench, at 4 or 5, I'm thinking about it. I'm playing around with that, but it still does feel, it's just a big risk. So
it's also not insignificant that Sess only subbed on 2 out of the 3 times he didn't start, whereas Perich has subbed on every time he hasn't started, even just 6 to 24 minutes. So maybe you get lucky there, once.
Yeah.
But Sess has massive haul potential anytime he starts. So I actually don't hate that. And just looking at their defense as a whole, I don't hate a center back. Romero's 4'9" now. He attacks corners. He wins headers. He's a red card shot every game, which is, tough. But they're going to keep cleans. Their fixtures are still good.
They're pretty good. They defend
Arsenal
they've been defending great.
Yeah, they defend pretty well. They don't concede big chances, least in the league. They have at Arsenal and home Liverpool in 9 and 15. At Old Trafford in 12. But most of the other ones, I'm like, that's going to be tough for the other team to score a goal. So I think that's worth considering. No one's talking about him.
Yeah, no, I know you were early on Longley. He hasn't been playing and shit like that, but it's a similar kind of concept of looking at the center back here for value. And, him dropping down, Romero down to 4'9". The thing with him that is a little bit annoying too is not only the red card shot, but he gets injured all. He's like fucking Thiago.
I know.
He gets injured all. He plays a few games and is out for a month.
There's probably a correlation there. We can make a graph of is he a red card shot every game and prone to injury because he just fucking dives in 2-footed all the time. But
it's like center fielder just headbutting the wall and trying to dive for catches at all.
Is Jim Edmonds gonna go for every single ball? Yeah. Yes. Okay. And then he's gonna fucking die.
Yeah, and he is someone at 4'9". You could just look at him and kind of start him all
You
the
start
time.
him every week. Yeah,
Yeah.
you start him every week. And he didn't he even score one? He scored one goal last season in 1,800 minutes. But I remember like watching him a lot and just being like, he's winning a lot of headers.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he should be scoring more.
I agree with that.
So maybe there's something there.
Yeah. No, it's interesting.
He's been getting a shot a game so far this
season.
season.
For center backs, a lot.
That's a fucking ton.
Yeah.
So that's Spuds. I don't know. Maybe Doc after the international break will be back.
Yeah. But and the other thing too is, I'm still playing with Kulusevski too, because I just feel like he's going to start this Leicester game. And like you said, I'm looking at this as more of a short-term punt, maybe 2 games, but maybe it's just, I do the Leicester game for him. And then, that's where I look at using my transfer after the international break is on that spot. I just feel like he's been individually like exceptional this season whenever I've watched him play.
He's been incredible.
And, he's going to play this next game. And whether it's, hopefully if it is him, and Kane and Rich, maybe Kane's, able to score where Son can't even get his shots off, and Kulusevski's, doing more creativity stuff. So, that's, I think, something that's worth thinking about.
I actually like that pun. I haven't really thought about him, but he's got to start, right?
Yes, he can.
He hasn't started 3 straight matches.
Yeah. He has to start.
He just has to. They couldn't score against fucking Sporting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually like that. it's basically a 1-week punt, and it's like the best team to punt against so far this season. Unless Iverson's in it, then you're fucked. So, see about that.
Did you hear about Rogers doubling down on Ward?
Is he?
I think he wants to get fired and just get paid off. I'm pretty sure.
Why wouldn't he?
Well, because
he just goes to like the fucking Bahamas for a year and a half. He gets 20 mil into his checking account, and then he just goes on vacation for like a year and a half.
Yes,
it's
but
bad.
Yeah, but it's also catastrophic for his career. So but it does feel like he is becoming a caricature of himself with what he's saying and what he's doing, more so than we've witnessed yet from him in the Premier League. So
when are we gonna do a fucking rewatching of Being Liverpool? Because
have you ever even seen it?
I saw it live, like the season it aired. I watched them.
I would be down to do that. Is that a possibility?
It's got to be on something, or I'll fucking illegally
I know
download
it exists, but like, how do we make that happen? Like, that
I don't know.
would need to
do
be
it the cheeky little same way we do a little scouting video, maybe just a watch along. Some shit.
It's weird that on Discord live streaming. Okay, this is post pod
summer activity.
I like where your head's at.
I'll say
that it has legs for sure. Okay.
Let's talk about Manchester City. Also played yesterday. Alon did the thing. They won the game.
Quite a thing.
Probably shouldn't have won the game, but fuck. I don't even know what to say about them. They're really good. They're winning every game that like they probably shouldn't win, which is fucking terrifying.
Yeah. Grealish is a huge problem for them.
Multiple people were tweeting at me yesterday. I wasn't watching this game because I was like, I need to watch Chelsea. It's like the more relevant game. And multiple people tweeted at me just like, Jack does nothing. And I was like, I'm not watching, but I'm also not surprised.
He's a huge problem. He's supposed to at minimum provide them, depth in the form of when they rotate that spot, they're not like actively getting worse. It's a big problem. Him and Mahrez looks like he's just falling off a cliff. Like
he completed 1 pass in the final third, 0 passes into the penalty area, 0 crosses into the penalty area. Jack.
Yeah.
That's like the thing he's supposed to do.
Yeah. I don't know what Cole Palmer needs to do to get her looking, because you watch him and how bad Mahrez has been this year. Come on.
Mahrez looks really weirdly off. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing Foden is pretty settled on Foden.
I like Foden, man. I like Foden for your team. Yeah,
he's just going to be playing minutes, and he's continuing to get more responsibility. And I think just looking, even granted it was a sub cameo, but just all year, he's their hub, sort of, even more than Kevin, sort of. Kevin sort of pulls strings, but Foden's like the active runner arounder or whatever in the box that really makes the dynamism kind of happen and the movement and shakes things up. And I just feel like he's going to fall into points. And
I mean, I think the subs were also really like the best indicator of what Pep wants to do with Foden. It's like, we're losing 2 minutes later, Gundo, Jack, and Mahrez off, Bilva, Foden, Alvarez on. Let's go win. You know, that's like
Bilv too. I mean, he's 7.
Bilva's fucking closs.
He's gonna be having those games where positionally he is too deep to get points, but then
which
there are
is
going to be
what
those
he
games,
basically did yesterday.
Yeah, but then there are going to be those games where that's not the case, and he's only 7. So if you do have that third city spot, and you're looking at a midfield pick that you're like, oh, I can only afford, I think he's still reasonable. Honestly,
it's funny. I said that, and then I'm looking at his stats. He played 33 minutes. It's 6 touches in the box.
Yeah, but his touches in the box are kind of deceiving because a lot of times he over or underlaps, and then he checks and just recycles. Like they don't lead to chances and shit. But still, 7, But City, they just Haaland keeps playing. He's fit, so he scores, and then they win all the games. It's pretty good. Stones, absolute legend.
Buddy said, "What are this week's thoughts on the third City guy? Holland, KDB feel locked." Gubami said, "It feels like keeping a City defensive guy makes sense, but who? Center backs feel really risky now. I have no idea who's Pep's preferred to." And then Maizarino said, "Is Stone solid now with his assist and goal threat, or still a shifting pebble?" Considering a lateral move from Cancelo to free up funds.
Everyone's a pebble. I like that.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, I still feel right now I like the third attacker more than any of the defenders. I'm still seeing Cancelo as just being too expensive for what he's offering.
I don't know, man. I think Cancelo versus Foden is really close, honestly.
I think the main reason is for the other options in defense I just like a lot.
Yeah,
and
right.
I feel
Which
like
has
in
been
midfield,
the case for a lot of the season.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good defenders.
That's mainly that's like the biggest thing.
Yeah, it's just like the thing that I saw with Cancelo is that like he was doing mostly the DM shit again, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes time to like we need a goal, we need to win the game, he's second to Kev creator.
Uh-huh.
And the other thing is like 2 pods ago when we were talking about after they 6-0'd NFO and he puts up a 12-pointer, it's like also in the games where they score 4 or 5, it seems like he just has free reign to be in the final third.
Yeah.
I'm like, so his assists are probably going to be like close to Foden's. And then, he's going to get 18 to 20 cleans. It's just like, fucking hell, dude. He's still just such a good
with
pick.
The devil with Phil, though. The upside, the triple return potential of Phil is there, baby.
It's like you're playing one of those like claw games and there's just a million big amazing toys and you're like, no, I want that little like Hez dispenser right there.
I want the Rolex in the middle of like the giant Pikachu stuffed animals and the claw's this big.
Your mom's like, but you love Pikachu, and you're like, yeah, but the fucking Rolex. I'm gonna be rich. Yeah. All right. City, good team. Good team. And then the last one's Liverpool. Looked great. Obviously don't have a match this week, so it's kind of a weird spot to be in, similar to Chelsea. But Hemnog said, thoughts on keeping some of the Queen's heads in your change purse in case you want Mo or Trent back ASAP.
What does that mean?
Money in the bank.
Okay.
I guess her head is on the coins or something. Bolter said after the Champions League game yesterday, is Walsh still on no Liverpool? Warren, Bry, Aurelio said Thiago and Matip back seemed to fix a lot of what was ailing Liverpool. Do we hold Mo? And Golden Silva said, who do you guys see as the best premium to replace Mo? A lot of action here.
Yeah. So Mo, just to reiterate for people who aren't watching this, looking at all the fixtures, I remember is it blank home Brighton, at Arscast, home City, then it gets good. Home West Ham, at NFO, home Leeds, at Spurs, home Southampton to the World Cup. What are you seeing there?
I'm seeing so many things.
Whoa.
I'm seeing spinning stars around my head. It's the best they've looked since probably like April of last season.
Yeah.
The Ajax game. Hard to say how good or bad Ajax is, but I think they're easily like top 20 in Europe, if not top 10, which is like kind of where they were considered last season.
Well, they lost a lot of their team. Keep going.
I know that's why we don't know, because they just play shitty Eredivisie teams and they lost their manager too. But yeah, I mean, watching last game, like, so on Monday pod, I was definitely thinking like Mo to Son. That was the move I was planning on. That just seemed obvious. Good. Son has Leicester, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to now, it's like, what's changed? Well, like, actually, a lot has changed. Like, Spurs were terrible, looked terrible. Son looks bad, might get rotated. Liverpool look amazing. They have a blank, obviously, but, going forward, I'm like, yeah, obviously, I'd much rather have Mo than any premium not named Holland and maybe Kev. So that's kind of where I am. I know everyone's in a different spot. I wouldn't probably have Mo on Wildcard, but for non-Wildcarders, I think if you can just get by with an 11 and you obviously already have Holland, I mean, yeah, I'd probably just rather have Mo than like almost any guy still to this day.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I mean, I think, Jota also is an enormous difference to be able to have those legs and to have someone who creates some space in the box where they just previously didn't have anyone doing that at all. You basically had Luis Diaz. I mean, Luis Diaz is interesting. I was kind of thinking about that with Jota playing, is like he does and sort of wants to do a lot of the same exact things as Mo. Like he wants to kind of carry the ball into the box.
Yeah.
And, that's okay if the player playing in between them is running all over the fucking place like a madman and pulling people. Bob was not doing that. Darwin also sort of, I mean, I haven't seen enough of him, but, he sort of like does, and he sometimes does that.
We don't know yet. Like, I still feel like I don't know where he should play and where he's best and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, he looks good, but don't know yet.
What we do know is not having Bob in the team yields good results for Mo and for the things.
Yep.
Of course, mentioned, right, Thiago back for now. We'll see if he makes it through the international break, whether or not he plays football or not. He could get injured, in the shower. We'll see about that. And then, Matip in instead of Joma. I mean, Joma's been fine. He's just been overplayed.
No, he's not been fine, to be honest.
Well, he was bad in the half. He got ripped off, but he had a few games I thought he was okay. But he's just been playing too much. He hasn't played for like fucking 4 years, and now all of a sudden he's playing 2 games a week. It's
just like, it's
he's being put in a position to fail.
He's put in a position to fail. Totally agree. And it's like subtle differences too, and just stylistically, like so many times Joel is just like dribbling through defenders, and then he plays Moen free. It's like those little things just get Liverpool up the pitch are just so huge.
Well, yeah. But I'm completely 180 on Mo. I agree with you completely. I mean, he looked like a normal performance against Ajax, and the team was performing more or less, normally in attack. They did make an interesting point on the Anfield Wrap on their review show. They were talking about how, again, Ajax sort of played into their hands. They did like exactly what teams don't normally do against Liverpool, and Liverpool completely shredded them to bits. And so I'm a little bit uncertain about how that is going to translate. All in all, the way Liverpool played, whether Ajax were, playing into their hands, passing out from the back badly, whatever. When Liverpool play like this and look like this, it doesn't usually, the last couple of years matter what the enemy's doing. They
That's
just are They're just rolling. The defense is still concerning to me. I think that game is not going to be very indicative. I'm still looking at just like, okay, well now Shimkas is in. Trent still like, I'm not sure what he's up to. He looks tired. You got Matip back, but I'm still like, they're still playing, Elliott in mid. I mean, yes, it's good to have Thiago. Fabinho's been playing. I'm just like, they're not going to keep no cleans, obviously, but I'm not looking at this like, they're going to be, they're just still, I don't know. I'm still a little bit nervous about that.
It's not like you look at 4 bad fixtures and just say whatever. It's Trent
keep
anymore.
Cleans. Right?
Yeah,
exactly.
It's just like probably not worth it.
Yeah.
Even though he has his attacking potential, but then you look at the better run of fixtures, and it's like, okay, maybe we change our minds then and go for it. But I'm with you there. I'm totally with you. But I also think that Diaz is just like low key still an amazing pick, like sort of like, I started their game week 1. A lot of people did. That was a lot of the talk of like him versus Robbo, all that kind of shit. And every game he just seems to get a few big chances. He seems to hit the post. He seems to just be integral to many attacking actions. And it's like, if you're going no Mo and stuff like that, and they don't play this week, whatever, it's a lot easier to stomach like benching an 8 million Diaz rather than benching a 13 million Mo, and just starting Diaz and in a bad run is probably still fine. Like he's just putting up great numbers, and I wonder if he's just still sort of overlooked.
Yeah, I mean, my main concern about him, we know there's a 4 million, 5 million, whatever the fuck price difference, but there's no one gonna play right. There's nobody's playing right wing instead of Mo in any of these games. Always fit. With Jota back, we have seen him play previous on the left wing. It isn't impossible to see games where it's Jota, Darwin, Mo, and then you're like, oh shit.
Totally.
So that to me is a little bit of a concern in the back of my mind. But like you said, I mean, mentioning the price difference, he's certainly a fine pick. Yeah. Even if he starts 4 and 5 instead of all 5 or whatever that looks like. Yeah. Right. And it still comes back to Mo, right? We're not captaining him, anytime soon still with these bad fixtures and shit, and with Haaland still being fit. So, you do have to look at that value standpoint and say, is this worth it? He's going to have to be putting in, 8, 9, 10 pointers, to be worth it in this time.
Yeah.
And he's more
Which
than
he
capable.
has in half the game so far.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah. I'm definitely now like kind of thinking like, well, what am I going to do about this?
Yeah. I mean, and you never, like you said, like for the foreseeable future, we're never going to captain him, but we all know Haaland's injury record. We all know Pep's rotation madness, whatever it is. We're very far from captaining Mo, and at the same time, we're very close to captaining Mo. Right?
I mean, like game week 12, there's
one thing happens even this game week. Yeah. City are home United, Liverpool are home Brighton without Potter. Fucking, he limps off the pitch in the Champions League, Haaland, and we're just like, oh yeah, Mo is the best captain. Easy. Yeah, like not even close. That's very possible.
Or an international break, but yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's one to watch.
And the 12,
it's going to be
and the
really
game week
weird.
12 blank for City, right? I mean, that is very soon.
Right.
That's only a few games away. Right. And Mo's home Western, which isn't great, but it's not terrible either. So. Yeah.
Well, and the other fixture, the other premiums are Spurs are at Old Trafford, which means United are home Spurs. Chelsea are at Brentham. Traditionally,
like something.
Yeah, it's okay, but I feel like home West Ham is like equal-ish at worst to that fixture.
Easy Mitro cap.
Mitro home villains could be good. I mean, Solanke home Southampton.
Yeah,
it could be a
all
cap.
Right. Good talk.
Picky 12 champ. Yeah. Good stuff. So I guess we should just move on to your wild card, and then I have a separate section of like other questions, but let's just talk about some stuff. Let me pull it up here. Give me 1 second to do this bullshit for the YouTube viewers at home. And this is the latest Walsh wildcard tinker.
So as you can see, a healthy number of queen heads in my bank.
3.4 in the bank in a Tumium.
Tumium. So, I mean, the one thing, so my team right now, read out, I still have Pope in goal. My defense, I have Reese, Trips, and then I have Sess, Patterson, and Emerson.
So this is an obvious place we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah. And then my midfield, I have Martinelli, De Bruyne, Foden. I have Kulusevski in right now. And then my attack, I have Isak, Mitrovic, and Haaland.
Yeah.
So, first thing I wanted to talk about is Isak and Kulusevski, right? Short-term puntisms. I can easily go Mo and Solanke there and bench Mo. And I was kind of looking at that as like, maybe that's like the 5-head play because it sets my team up really well. It doesn't book a future transfer. I just start Pereira. It's not a big deal. I'm trying to think like, is it enough worth the chasing the point potential for this game week or not? What do you think? Because I mean, I could alternatively just leave enough in the bank to do Kulu to Mo, and I just have Solanke instead of Isak or whatever. And whoever I put in that Kulusevski spot is a punt. And I could pick anybody, literally any player.
Yeah, in terms of a 1 week punt, I do like the look of Kulu, and I think he'll start home Leicester, and I think Spurs will score 3+. Otherwise, I don't think Kulu is a good pick at all. And just picking any player for 1 week is just a punt. It doesn't matter if it's Mo, home, fucking anyone. Holland, home, fucking whatever. Doesn't matter. 1 week is still just random.
Yeah. And it's also Pereira. Like, how much better is he than Pereira against NFL? Like, obviously
not that
better,
much.
But like,
better.
Is it like a huge distinguishable?
I really don't think it is. So I'm totally happy starting Pereira this week, and it lets you bench someone that's a good pick that you like. I love that.
Yeah.
Isak, on the other hand, compared to Dom, I just think that isn't close. I actually just don't think that's close. You know, we watched Dom last 2 games. I mean, they have decent fixtures. I mean, at Newcastle is not a good fixture for them. Home Brenham, I guess, is okay, and then home Leicester is good. But like, Dom is getting the ball 60 yards away from goal on average, and he's just left to go beat 3 defenders on your own or get fouled, and then hopefully we'll slowly move up the pitch like it's a fucking NFL game. It's like, go get a first down, Dom, and then we'll like start the offense. Versus like Isak, I just think has like brace potential in all 3 of the next 3.
Yeah. I mean, that comes back to, I mean, if I want to go there, then I have to sacrifice, Reece, essentially.
Right.
Which doesn't seem like that's worth it to me.
Right.
Because, it's looking again at a more of that short-term few games, and then, Newcastle's fixtures get a little tougher, and then I'm like, versus, like, what am I willing to sacrifice? I don't know. I mean, the only other option is if I start to try and, divest out of Newcastle defense, and I get rid of Pope and Trips and get a 4-5 guy in, and
which
another
starts
cheap
to
defender.
feel really bad, right? Because
really
it's like
thin.
you're just
Too
like
thin.
and you're like going away from all of the like core ideas that you've had for the last 2 weeks. All of a sudden, I don't like that drastic change, but in the end, you just have to ask yourself, like, is two mid-price guys, which for now are Kulu and Isak, gonna outscore Mo, who's blanking and has bad fixtures? Because they're still, I mean, we talked about Brighton's not bad anymore. We don't really know, how good or bad it is, but even still, it's at Arsenal, home City, the 2 after that. I kind of like going for the 2 mid-price guys.
Going for the points.
Yeah, just going for the points. Points in hand, better than whatever the fuck the expression is. Mostly off the back of Isak. I don't know what you're going to do with Kulu after this week. I guess it depends what he does.
Also just might not pick him. Like, I could pick anybody.
Right.
I could find a different
that
mid
could be
that
Diaz and you start Pereira. That could be Maddo and you start Pereira, which honestly, both of those I probably like more than Kulu.
I guess I'm just really not nearly as high on Isak as you are. I mean, I just still am. Yeah. I think we are similarly high on the player, but I think it's just so, I've been down this road so many times where the new guy comes in who I love, and granted he has put in 2 games of tape that look good.
Yeah.
I'm still just worried about banking on that to the point where it's, what that's like. I don't feel that assured or that certain, right? Even though they do have these good fixtures, that it's like, he's going to just shit points.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that's nagging on me a little bit.
Yeah. For me, it's like a sequence of things. It's not only the player, it's what has he done so far, which is in his first game, he played at Liverpool, looked great, got 2 shots, scored a goal, scored an offsides goal. What did he do against Palace? First time playing 90. Newcastle absolutely obliterate Palace. He gets multiple big chances, looks good, and he's getting a lot of shots. And I'm just like, everything is adding up to me to be like, Newcastle should win these games, dominate these games, and he's going to keep getting 3+ shots a game in these games.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it could be that I just don't have Reece. I mean, I know that the one game was bright and he's playing in the, playing as an auxiliary forward or whatever, but he's a bastard, man, and I don't like him.
Also, aways are way worse games for cleans. That's a fact.
Have all these away games. It's just, Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's where I go, because that does go back in line with what my defensive team structure and price points were all literally until yesterday is when I put Reece in, and I was like, okay, well now I have all this money in defense again.
Right.
So I mean, this could just be maybe
so
best
if you
of both
go without
worlds.
Reece, you're saying that Kulu could just be Mo?
Yeah, so I would have
in this
Isak
team.
and Mo, and then I have, instead of Reece, I just have a 4-5 guy, and I obviously wouldn't have Sess if I do that.
Right.
So I would have 2-4-5-ish guys. Like, I mean, I could go back to Shar or Botman to kind of lock that up. Well, I couldn't. That would be the fourth Newcastle guy. Anyway, I would need to figure that out, but it would be Trips and then some 4-5/4-0 guys, which is what I was on.
Yeah.
All Wildcard.
I mean, I really don't hate it. Like when we talk more about when we were talking about the aways earlier on the scout thing, I was like, yeah, but Chelsea are still going to dominate these games, score goals. We were talking more in reference to Raz than in Reece. But like on paper, that's really bad for cleans. Like at Palace, home Wolves, at Villa, at Brettenham, home Man United. Like that's very bad for cleans.
2 is probably best case.
Yeah, 2 would be like great.
Yeah. The other thing too, which is a little bit of nonsense. Yeah, and they blank, so your carrying is a literal 0. But I mean, with clean sheets, right? It just takes one switch off moment. Clean sheets are lucky by definition to do in a game of 90,
which is why we like teams like City who just don't concede shots.
Right.
They just don't let the team get into the final third.
Right. But where I'm going with this is, when you have a new manager, even though maybe the system is going to be somewhat similar, they are still taking on a lot of new instructions that they haven't had the muscle memory and the time together in this capacity. So, that's...
Yeah, totally.
That's something.
They dominated in Champions League. It was a very one-sided game, but like Kepa still had a couple Kepa moments where it was like, oh, and then like Jorginho got fouled instead of the player winning the ball, but it would have been a fucking
Imagine
howler.
if it was Mendy.
Yeah. Oh my God. If it was Mendy,
holy shit,
they would have gotten destroyed. But you know what I mean?
3-0 at halftime.
Yeah, I'm kind of into this. And then we can comfortably move on to one of the 4-5 guys that I like, that I'm pretty sure you're going to hate. But this came from me talking to LR, who's also on Wildcard, who's talking to Zofar, who's also on Wildcard, all the FPL Wire guys. But West Ham have amazing clean sheet fixtures until the World Cup.
I have Emerson. What's up, dog?
I know. Zofar is all over Zuma.
Who is that?
He's the other main guy on the FPL Wire.
Okay.
The late riser pod.
He's all over
Zuma. And I
thought Zuma, the one that kills the cats?
The cat killer.
I'm not having him.
And at first I was like, Zuma, like why the fuck wouldn't you just get Emerson? He's 0.52, blah, blah, blah. Emerson's just straight up not nailed. I know he started today. That's great. He played wing back. Pressel's back. But like...
Behave.
He could just not start very, very easily. And they go back to 4 at the back, and he's just Creswell's backup, and that's very realistic.
Wouldn't that Zuma's drop? But he's dropping Cresswell. He can't play Cresswell.
Cresswell started
back.
Today.
Left side center back. But if they go to a back 4, you think he's gonna put Cresswell in left back? He can't do that anymore.
Moyes is like the number one guy in the world that would put Cresswell at left back. He's going to put Mark Noble at right back and Cresswell at left back.
No,
I mean, it's
right.
like...
You're right. You right.
And just looking purely fixtures, they have at Anfield in 12, at Old Trafford in 14. Every other match is good. A lot of homes in there. A lot of good clean sheet fixtures. Zuma 4-5 is just nailed. He has header dong potential.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to not have Emerson and I wanted a piece, I would get the new guy because he doesn't, to our knowledge, harm animals. And they're the same price.
Hey, come on. Is that enough reason to not get him?
Yeah, it is. To me, it is. I don't.
That's all I need to hear.
Thilo Kerrer.
Yeah.
Fucking get in. Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I think it's going to be, it'll come down to with Emerson is like, I would need to, this is going to be like the last thing I decide, I think probably is which of these defenders, because the game week 12 fixture is a big deal because I'm going to need these players to play and they have a fucking 0 point. They might as well have a blank also.
Yep.
And,
true.
I have to look closer at like the 4-5s and, if it is Patterson or if it is Nico, who I'm going to be needing and when. I still, you look at the fixture. I mean, West Ham hasn't been a good defensive team since they didn't have Europe. And by last time I checked, they still play on Thursdays.
That
So
I don't agree with.
didn't they keep like 5 cleans last year? Or
Well,
8?
I'm talking about this year.
This year. Yeah.
So they started really bad against City. They were fine against Forest, but not great. And then they were bad against Brighton. But then they held Villa, Spurs, and Chelsea to like basically nothing. All of them under 1 XG. Like they really shut those games down and played well. So they're trending upwards as far as I'm concerned. With the easy fixtures, it should be good for them.
I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at their fixtures, right? At Everton, like, yeah, okay. Home Wolves, good. Home Fulham, don't expect to clean there. At Southampton, probably not a clean. At Liverpool, home Bournemouth, good. At Man United, home Palace, home Leicester. I don't know. I mean, you got a couple in there. But I think, by and large, I'm just looking. I'm looking at this. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this kind of glob of fixture. I'm just like, if I pick Emerson to start any of these games and he didn't play and got 0 minutes, and I got Patterson off the bench who had like at Newcastle, like, is that much worse? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, they're all sort of like just bad, sort of.
There's a lot of badness. It's a fun time, I feel like, to be on Wildcard and be talking about all these bad teams because like we've mentioned this, all the ones with the good fixtures, other than Newcastle, which I feel like everyone on Wildcard's like tripled up on because they're like the good team in this group. It's like, picking between like West Ham, Villa, Leicester, like it's just like a mess. But Ben Drama Next 50 asked, who's this season's Bowen, or is it still Bowen? I mean, are you totally out on Bowen now? You had him in the last pod.
Yeah, that was just, I feel embarrassed about that.
It's okay. You're not the only one, by the way. He's all over tons of wildcard teams right now.
Yeah, no, I can't be having any of that. That's insane.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
feeling good about this.
Yeah,
I like the way of this looks with Isak and Salah and,
yeah,
the things are, I mean, I can still do a little diddling and playing around with keeping Reese and maybe binning Trips and getting Botman and going a little cheaper there.
Yeah.
I would have to sacrifice Pope. Like, it might not be worth it.
I've been so fucking high on Trips for 6 months now, and he's done literally everything I've dreamed of him doing.
Yeah. Like, I mean, he got me 14 points and then I got rid of him and he was just better than, I spent multiple transfers on that spot and got way less points had I have just kept and started Trips. So
they've kept 3 cleans and he's gotten 7, 7, 8. And then the other 3 games he scores a goal against City, blank, and a 0-pointer against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Just like fucking ridiculous.
I mean, I'm still like thinking, I still like Southampton. I mean, Dalot was someone who I put in early on.
Yeah, I was wondering about Dalot because his attacking numbers are legit.
They're really legit. The issue with him is just that the fixtures aren't really good for a while. Like they have blank at City, at Everton, home Newcastle, home Spurs, at Chelsea. And then they have a few pretty okay ones leading up to the World Cup, home West Ham.
It's hard when you look at a fixture list and you're like, okay, so they need to keep cleans at Everton and home Newcastle, or this is a nightmare.
Pretty much.
So, yeah,
That's a problem.
I can see that. The fixtures are bad. What about Palace? I mean, they love to concede a late goal, but they do still have an amazing fixture run, and they will keep some cleans, and they're cheap. I have Gahey on 4-4.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to come down to the rotation. I mean, they have the blank and then Chelsea, but other than that, they're a comfortable start every week until the World Cup, which is more than you could say for literally any of the other options here in this price point. And, that's definitely attractive. I'm definitely going to consider Anderson or Gahey, for sure. I think it's, it's going to look, I mean, looking at the numbers, it looks like I'm going to have, around 9 mil, 9.1 for these 2 spots. If I do go with Trips, Patterson's pretty nailed, I think, in my team.
We had a question about Patterson. Sorry to cut you off, but Brad said, has Walsh considered Patterson on Wildcard? He'd be one of the first names on my team sheet. Now that Everton have some decent midfielders, I expect they'll keep some cleans. Mikolenko on the other side tends to hang back. Patterson's bombing forward. He should have a goal if he hadn't shot straight at the keeper. So he's straight in for you.
I mean, I agree with all of those things. And the most important point to me that was mentioned in the question is the midfielder. I mean, getting Gay in is an absolutely enormous, massive deal. He's fit now. So, while he's there, that should shore things up a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, eye test wise, Patterson, I think, has looked really good. I thought it was interesting, earlier on when they played Liverpool and stuff, how teams have sort of been like targeting him, which I don't get why, because I think he's so much better than Mikolenko. But yeah, I mean, he's at 4 million. I just, looking at their fixtures also aren't really that bad. There are plenty of games where I'd be okay to start him, knowing that they play defensively.
Say they're good. Yeah, I would say they're good.
They have Spurs and Man United coming up 2 of the next 4, but then I think at Newcastle's a pretty bad one for cleans now.
I think those 3 in a row, 10, 11, 12, pretty bad. But the other matches outside of those, home West Ham, at Southampton, home Palace, at Fulham, home Leicester, at Bournemouth are like pretty solid.
So, and I'm not completely eliminating having Nico, Emerson, and Patterson, and then it would let me get maybe one other actual good guy, and I could rotate one spot for those 3,
right?
Because it would afford me a 5 million defender. Like I could do whatever, like a Romero or something like that, and I just start that spot and trips every week.
Yeah.
And then I just have these 3-4 million like kind of all disaster classes, and I just start one, and I'm like, whatever.
That is kind of nice.
Yeah,
I mean, being able to like have
better.
2 guys that you can start every week confidently, regardless of fixture, is really nice.
That feels a little bit better than spreading it around and starting like 4 bad options, 2 of 4 bad options rather than 1 of 3 bad options. Because 4 or 5 guy I'm getting, I'm like, holy shit, this is great. Like that pick isn't here, so I could do that.
Yeah, I wonder, rotation-wise, how that all shakes out. Like, do you have... I mean, it has to work out. 3 guys for one spot. You'll find someone. There's someone not playing Liverpool and City in all of those weeks.
Yeah, so. It would be fine.
Yeah.
If I were to go, if I had to get 1 5 million and under defender to start every week till the World Cup with trips, do you have anyone standing out to you?
Yeah, I mean... I'm sort of in the same bracket with my Walker spot, but we'll get to that later on my team. But that's kind of like why I was looking at Romero.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't want to like squeeze my budget up to Perisic and then he doesn't play or plays 10 minutes, and same with Cess and whatever. And it was like, honestly, Romero of all these guys, or like Azuma, I'm like, yeah, these defenses are way better than every other player who starts regularly in this price range, right? Like every other team, now that Brighton
except for Fofana, but he's not.
Except for Fofana, but he's not nailed.
Right.
Yeah,
and
you would have said except for Brighton, but now Potter's not there. So it's really like these Spurs and West Ham are way better, except for maybe Saliba. But I'm scared because Ramsdale's been so fucking bad and Partey's out and whatever. So yeah, I mean, I think it's like I don't know. I guess we'll know more tomorrow, but I thought so, but. Yeah, I feel like it's basically in my head, at least, between like Romero, Saliba, Zuma, Gehi. If you're trying to start this spot every week.
See, because then going through that list, then I'm like, okay, well then having 2 of the 4 or 5 guys, like if they're basically all the same, like that might be just better,
right?
Because then it's like how much better is Romero than these? As like it might be a lot closer, right? Than having a West Ham center back and
I do think he's a lot better though. Romero.
Well then, okay, yeah.
Like so Spurs defense, I do think is like top 4-ish.
Yeah.
And
right there with
none
Chelsea
of those teams are close, right? So.
Yeah. I mean, Romero could be a good one there. Maybe maybe that's kind of what I look at.
Yeah, worth thinking about.
Yeah.
The other option, I mean, just looking at your team is like, if you didn't go Kulu, like what other mids could you go?
I don't have Kulu anymore in this one.
Oh, wait, who are your mids in this one? I only have your old one up on the screenshot.
Yeah. So it's Martinelli, Mo, Kevin, Foden.
Oh yeah, it's Mo. Duh. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Nice. It's a good team.
Yeah, I think this looks good. I think I need to just make a decision on defense, really. I mean, if I have Trips Patterson and then I have that money to play with it, and I might have a little bit extra depending on how price changes go tonight, which would be really nice, but we'll see.
I mean, I'm still not. I am I ever going to be 100% on Foden? Because I'm not, probably.
I'm not either, but you know I love him.
I know you love him. I mean, like, there's something in my head that's just like, go JWP for 1.5 cheaper.
Yeah, I don't need the money. That's the thing is like, I don't need the money.
But you would just put it into defense. You would get a really good defender.
Yeah, but this is sort of, I hear you, but I think I can also make that move if I need to, because I do feel like the time of Phil is kind of now. Like he's being treated like, in along with Kevin elite. And it's like their most important player. And I still believe that City are just the best and most consistent team.
Absolutely.
And I just expect them to roll other teams, more than anyone else. And I like having that be a part of the equation. So I feel good there. I think it is really maybe now down just to my defense.
Okay. Love to hear it. All right.
Are you still Pope? Still is, to not have Pope?
Oh, yeah. I think he's just, it's like, it's gotten to the point where I think it's just overthinking.
Okay.
To not have him. It's like, you're trying to make a case for no reason. He's just so good.
Yeah. So what are you looking at for your moves?
Well, let's do these other questions first. Okay. I mean, we're at an hour already, but it was always going to be a long pod. That's why we're doing it during the day. Let's do these other questions quick and then look at mine. So Hemdog said, this question is for HRH Walsh of Wildcard Shire. Thoughts on holding Jesus for 1 week until game week 9, switch to Isak, Tony, or hell, maybe Solanke to avoid X fucked in the ass?
Well, I mean, Isak is the best fixture in the game, basically. So, other than home NFO, it's probably second best attacking fixture. So if that's the player you're targeting, I would just do that now, right? I mean, at Brentham's like okay. They've been kind of ropey and inconsistent this season. I certainly don't expect Arsenal not score or really have a difficult time creating chances, but I don't really mind holding on to Jesus for this fixture at all, right? I mean, he still looks good, and they have the Darb coming off the international break, and didn't he not get picked? Or am I imagining that for Brazil?
Yeah, I think you're right.
So he's just
that's chilling.
Nice.
Yeah, and
I mean, they have home Spurs, Darb.
There's no one who wants Isak more than me. Well, actually, maybe Hemdog because he's fucking Newcastle perv. But I want Isak so badly. I'm not on Wildcard, but I have Jesus. And I was even thinking about do I do that? It's so fucking stupid. That is such a waste of a fucking transfer to get rid of a really good pick in a pretty good fixture for a lesser known quantity in a better fixture. It just makes no sense at all. Well, but next week, yeah, maybe.
I don't know about that.
No way.
I think that there is an element of following your convictions. We're kind of backing ourselves. Yeah, because I think we're backing it into the heuristic of in a vacuum. If you apply that most times, you'll be okay. You'll get ahead. But there are always exceptions to rules.
Wouldn't I just wait till game week 9?
Yeah, you can, but you have 2 frees. So, you look at your team and it's, if you think that this is a 13-pointer here waiting to happen, home Bournemouth, and you're looking at Jesus it's a 5 or 6 kind of thing, which is sure.
Which is what he does usually.
Yeah, or you blank. I mean, there's obviously any outcome could happen. You could go +10, you could go -10. I mean, these are possibilities. But you don't normally talk this strongly about players. And when you do, you don't get them, and then they're really good.
Also a fact. Oh my God. Okay, so fucking hell. I guess I'm doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But I haven't run the numbers on your team with the blanks. Are you fucked? Are you going to be able to
numbers, bro? No,
are you going to be able to get 11? Or because you have 2 frees, right?
All I need to do is really get rid of Walker. And then I'm already at 11 if Iverson plays. Let's just call it 10 for now. I'm at 10 outfield players if I fix Walker with 1 transfer. So then I just have another free to do whatever the fuck I want with. And my team going forward after the blank is great. My bench is Guaita, Gehi, Mo, and Reese.
Yeah.
So like I'm totally set after this 1 week. So I could absolutely do it. And I could get most defenders in the game with the caveat that they have to play this week. So we'll get there. Muchizi said, I need Walsh's thoughts on Wilf as the wildcard pick.
Well, we don't play this week.
Ooh, hate to see it.
Yeah, must be said. But, he's definitely a good option. He's going to play all the games, Pens. We have really good fixtures after Chelsea and even Chelsea at home. We'll play. He'll get a chance
score.
or two.
He'll score.
Yeah, probably, hopefully. Good pick. Good. He's right in there with like Tony, Isak, Mitro, all the 7 JW,
yeah.
Steady, focal point, Pens, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, good pick.
Love it.
Yeah.
Inglaze, you said, if you're on wildcard, how many non-playing this week do you keep as bench players? I mean, whatever. Doesn't matter, right?
No. I think it's just
pick the players like, yeah, exactly.
I think, and that's the one thing, right? I mean, long road to keeping Mo for me, I guess. But
yeah.
Something also with wildcard that, when we've been talking about, balancing off like the short term, the next couple game weeks versus like, well, who do you actually really want? You need to make sure you're not putting too many eggs in that short-term basket when you look across your 15, because then suddenly you're like, wait, shit, I don't have another wild card until game week 16. Like it's game week 11 and my team's a fucking mess, right? So, you just have to be careful there. But I tend to put more emphasis on the team I think I'll want in 2 game weeks and getting that now rather than...
I think that's right. And I think a big part of that for me is also, I'm not on wild card, but just looking at with like your team is like, Pereira has at NFO. Emerson has at Everton if he starts. Fucking Patterson's home West Ham. That's not a nightmare. Nico has home Fulham. Like all of the guys that will be your bench players in normal game weeks without blanks have really good fixtures. Some of the best in the league. So there's not really a reason to like sacrifice someone that you rate really highly and want in your game week 9 wildcard team. Just because, you can just start these guys this week. So it's easy.
Yeah.
Benedictus, do we avoid Ward as our backup keeper on wildcard? If he's dropped, a price fall seems likely and he's unlikely to make the 11 anyway. I don't know, I guess.
I mean, I haven't even considered Ward. So
fuck Ward, dude.
He just can't keep starting. I'm like, I'm sorry. He cannot keep starting this player. He's their worst player by a lot, like every game, and they haven't won a game all year or whatever. I just refuse to believe that. Like Iverson, brother of Alon, literal player of the season on his championship team last year, doesn't deserve a chance after watching.
Insert like Yu-Gi-Oh meme of like Walsh holding the card that's like he can't see starting him, and then Broad just like with the lineup sheet there and Walsh fucking exploding back. It's like fucking Broad can do so many things that you can't even dream.
No, I mean you're right, but in the end, it's just he's just 0.1 cheaper right now, and that's enough because I'm not going to like not start Pope,
Yeah.
So like, even if Ward starts the rest of the season, I would rather have 0.1 savings there than not, so.
Yep. Nuval, after the news of the game week 12 blank, what's the max number of City and Arsenal players we should have for this game week? And then Lad Patrick followed on. He said, is there potentially good upside in keeping triple City and triple Arsenal using your free hit in game week 12? Could be nice differentials in 11 and 13 when others move them out.
I mean, if you already have 6 and you've already used your wild card, I mean, I don't know. I need like a lot of time to process that and look at it.
Yeah, which is probably me. I mean, I'm on 3 Arsenal, 2 City because I have to get rid of Walker.
You're about to be 2 and 2.
Yeah,
which
probably
is just like
2 and 2.
1, maybe 2 moves away from like not a problem. We have all these transfers to 12 knowing that that's coming. You should be able to
should be fine.
Slowly, especially with Arsenal's fixtures are bad. So getting rid of Arsenal players isn't like really that crazy to do.
Like
with Spurs and Liverpool coming up.
Migrating from like Saliba, Jesus, like that's in the cards. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that one, and then what was the other part of the question?
The other guy was asking about maybe free hitting, but it's just bad.
Free hitting's bad.
Jitterbug
bad.
said, it's often said that transferring out blanking players actually at -2, not a -4. What's the limit on this? If you had 8 playing guides, is it justifiable to -12 to get up to 11? Or does it start to become less of a truism the more hits you have? That's complicated. It's
That
like
is very
compounding interest or some shit.
Yeah, no, I don't really understand the question too much, but I think the taking it out of context of who the players are isn't fair, right?
Yeah,
I mean, doing a goalkeeper move as a -2 is not the same as doing like a premium forward move, right? Because the point return is different. So they're not. It's applying the heuristic, but you have to factor in who your backups are. I mean, even like Pereira, right? He's just a very good start this week. So that's not. The players matter, but yeah, I mean, it's -2. If you have guys that you don't like anyway that are blanking and you were wanting to get rid of anyway, it's a good opportunity to try and do that. Take an extra hit or two. Yeah, sure. Go wild. Right.
Capping said, yeah, I totally agree. Capping said, you touched on it on the pod a little, but is Nico actually the worst of the 4-0s? So, I mean, he's basically saying everything we said last pod is like, we never expect the clean. You don't want to start him regularly. You don't know when the attacking returns are going to come. So wouldn't you rather just have like Patterson or Emerson to rotate in? And I think we both kind of agree, yes, unless you're starting this player every single week, and then you will get some attacking returns eventually.
Yeah. I mean, Patterson, I think, is a clear head and shoulders above these two. I mean, you're looking at equally risky things that are wrong with Emerson and Nico, right? Nico in the prospect of they don't keep cleans really. Emerson, the prospect of he might just not play some games. They could play 4 at the back, like you said. And Moyes, wants the old boy, Cresswell, to just play left back, and you're fucked. So you need to weigh that up personally, and also looking at okay, well, Nico is never not starting, so I'm never going to have a 0 minute. Who's my guy off the bench? But if Emerson doesn't start when I'm playing him, what happens? And if the answer to that question is I get Patterson in a math fixture where you would have been starting Nico in a math fixture, like then that to me is maybe worth it versus like, no, it's a disaster. I have no bench players. It's like, okay, then get
Nico is one of the hardest players I think in the season to evaluate.
Yeah.
Because if he was doing this on like 16 of the 20 teams, he'd be the best pick in the game. But he's doing it on one of the 4 teams that we really don't want him to be doing it on. And it's just like, I have no idea what to do with him now. You look at home Fulham, at Leicester, home Villa, at Wolves, at Brightham. And it's just like, holy shit.
I don't think they're keeping one clean.
He could double-digit haul in any of those, and he could keep 0 cleans with 0 attacking returns.
Yeah.
Like, the range is wider than any player in the game in terms of what he could do in the next 5.
Versus Emerson, 0 or 6. So.
Emerson, a.k.a. Kyle Long. Warren said, is Grob a sell or wait and see? Pascal Grob.
Yeah, he's a sell, especially with the blank really puts
the blank just cements it, right?
Yeah.
Blank it's then Liverpool Spurs.
Yeah, no, it's bad. And then they do have City coming up after that. There's really no sense to me whatsoever in keeping any Brighton players right now with the blank. I think it should be like a mass sale.
I agree.
I mean, if you have 1 or 2 of them, like that should be where you're using your transfers on your blanking players are those spots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but
only
you love to see it.
Yeah, and only a few more. Jitterbug said, he's talking about triple Newcastle defense. He said, people are very wary of tripling on the defense, but is it actually bad? For example, if I want trips, Botman, Pope. If Botman's likely to get cleans than Gahey, why would I get Gahey?
Yeah, is
it just to not lock myself out of an attacking option?
Have you triple cleans?
He's never listened to this
people
podcast.
People on this pod love triple cleans.
Jitterbug is exposing himself right now.
This is an expose him moment.
He's a brand new FMLPL listener, first time listener, whatever. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's absolutely fine. If you don't want Isak and, Pope and Trips both look great. Yeah, I think triple defense is very, very good. And again, right, with Botman or Schär, you just bench him in those couple of toughies. You still start Trips and Pope. You're good. I think it's just great.
Yeah, again, I'm referencing a lot of Zofar, but he's been really good on Twitter this week. But someone asked him basically the same thing, and he said, There's a school of thought about not putting too many eggs in the same basket, but I disagree with that. If you see a good basket and you're not putting enough eggs in it, you're basket wasting.
Basket wasting.
Basket hyphen wasting. I was
if you trust your ability to evaluate baskets, then you will put as much weight in an egg yolk as you can fundamentally put.
Move all your eggs.
Yeah.
Rhodey said, what do you make of bringing in cheaper, lesser attacking assets, Matto/Barnes on Wildcard for their obscenely good run after Spurs? Is this outweighed by the team being, for the most part, diabolical?
This is all you. You've been banging Matto's drum for a little bit here.
I'm still high on Matto. I think that I would pretty confidently recommend Matto for Wildcarders. Obviously, I don't want to play him this week. If you can get away with like starting a Pereira, one of the aforementioned 4-0s this week and benching him, that's fine. Starting him, not the end of the world. I mean, like, you know, Spurs are going to let him shoot 5 times from outside of the box. That's like kind of good for him. But yeah, I mean, I'm just betting on the player and betting on the fact that I don't think Leicester can get any worse than they are right now. They had 3 decent fixtures to start the season. You know, obviously they lost all of them because aforementioned diabolical. Well, they drew one of them, but he returned in all 3 because he's just a really good player. Then they had 3 tougher fixtures and he didn't play one and blanked the other 2. And now they have a run of fucking after Spurs, home NFO, at Bournemouth, home Palace, home Leeds, at Wolves. I just think he has like double-digit potential in all of those. So I like the pick.
All right.
I don't know about Barnes, though. I mean, I love the player, but there's nothing Braj loves more than playing for 45 minutes.
I was just about to say that. I mean, when you have Barnes and he gets ripped off at half because it's 0-0, it's not where you want to be.
It's such a fucking nightmare, dude.
Yeah.
And then last question was just a bunch of people asking for 1 week punts because they're wildcarding after this game week. So I don't know.
We've done that, I think, more or less.
Yeah, right? We've probably talked about them. Is there any stone uncovered in the 1 week punt department? I mean,
not really. I think, you know, we touched on Spurs a little bit. I think the only other place is maybe you could look at like a Villa attacker because, you know, home Southampton could be there could be goals in that game. But just in terms of something we didn't mention, I think that's probably the only thing I would with low confidence. But if you're looking for some real left field cheap punt, you know, maybe that's where you look.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I guess like you can't discount, you know, like a Brennan also, BJ on Forest, you know, home Fulham. Like I could see him scoring. That could be a 2-2 game or something weird.
Yeah, no, I think that's a reasonable one.
Okay. All right. So are we up to the part where it's my team?
Yeah,
I think we are. You're looking at a squad, so I'm fucking putting Isak in. I'm trusting pod partner. Isak's in for Jesus, which means I have 6-3 for the Walker spot. The question becomes, which I think you mentioned last episode, do I want this to just be a cheap guy that I just run out this week and then eventually turn Reed into a player?
I think it's a yes, a very loud yes to that. Like you want Matto, Wilf, someone.
I can't
GW8.
Get those guys though. I can't get
not right
that
now.
High.
But
no, I'm just saying like even in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you can. You get a fucking 4 guy.
I know, but this putting Matto in for Reed just to play with it. I have 2-9.
So get a 2-9 guy.
Are there any 2-9s in the game added?
Is there a 2-9 defender check, please?
Fucking admin, give me a 2-9. Come on, Gaben.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so even Emerson, just stick a 4-0 just to see. Is there a 6-8 that I love? I mean, yeah, it probably would be JWP, to be honest.
Or Wilf, and you do Saliba next.
But isn't Wilf... Oh,
you go
like
down
double
a little,
move next?
Yeah, I mean, he's only 0.3. You're only 0.3 away there.
Some booking a hit.
Well, you don't have to do it next game.
Yeah,
but
true.
You know, there's still Rash right in this area.
Yeah, I was looking at Rash. Like, you know, yes, City, but whatever. He's gonna fucking counter and like do his shit. I was looking at fucking Sinistera too. Look at Leeds. We have not talked about. They blank, and then they're home Villa, at Palace, home Ars, at Leicester, home Fulham.
It's good.
At Liverpool sucks. Home Bournemouth.
You get rid of them there probably, but yeah.
Well, you want the home Bournemouth though. I mean,
yeah, that's fair.
So like, that's a fucking really good run. You know, they have 2 bad fixtures. Really good run.
I just feel like this is
JWP.
Yeah, and JWP. JWP has just been doing the reserve thing, so that's been a little bit. I just feel like you want one of these guys more than you want to be disappointed.
More than I want Romero.
Late clean sheet wipes for too much money when you can get the same thing for 4.5.
Yeah, I do love a cheeky late clean sheet wipe.
I mean, Bilv also 7.
Yeah, true. It's close. Yeah.
You're closer.
Okay, so then which fucking...
I think Patterson for sure.
Because I need to start.
He's 4-1.
Well, I mean, Nico's obviously going to start too.
Fulham
is way worse for a clean.
Yeah, although I just think Patterson's better.
Oh, really?
I mean, Patterson plays as a wingback on a defense-first team. And he's nailed. You know, I mean, to me, those are good pieces that you want. Emerson is a similar category, but he's not.
If Emerson was nailed, he'd be 100% the guy, but he's just not. So I can't go there because I need this guy to play immediately. Yeah, those are obviously good things for Patterson. That's why I'm considering him. Nico plays as a winger out of position on a also bad team.
Yeah, I mean the main difference here again, to come back to, the Isak point, is you've been banging on about Nico for a long ass time.
Yeah, I know.
And you don't have him. You love him. So that should play some role here in the decision, I believe. I
mean, really, this decision, I don't want to even spend any more time on this because I'm choosing which fucking 4-0 to get for my 1 week start. I'm just going to get fucking Nico, dude.
Yeah, just get your guy.
I'm just gonna get my guys. I'm bringing Nico. I'm bringing Ishak. I'm expressing.
Yeah,
it's okay to not get Son, right? It's one of those where I'm like,
Son.
Well, no, just because saying at the beginning of the week we were both like, Mo to Son.
Yeah, no.
But I feel like enough has changed, right?
I would be surprised if he starts Leicester.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems pretty clear that he's going to not start him this. He's obviously first choice still, and he will start, the vast bulk majority. But, this is a short punt window here, and you can't get burned by that. You just cannot.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I mean, it's part of the reason I made a notebook at all was to ask this exact question. Why am I not doing what I was thinking of doing? What has changed?
Yeah.
And this is the rare case where actually a lot has changed.
Yeah.
Spurs have played terribly, looked terribly. Son has played like shit. Conte's talking about rotation and benching Son. Liverpool looked amazing, played amazingly. Mo played really well. That's a lot.
And all of that said, we would equally be similarly unsurprised if the front three were Kane, Son, Kulu against
and
Leicester.
Son braces. I wouldn't be surprised at that at all.
No.
But I have to make a bet. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, bro. I'm with you. And we're both on Holland. Who are you on Vice?
I don't know. I didn't even look at it. Probably our new Swedish friend, I guess. I don't know.
Or Kev.
Or Pope.
Probably just Kev.
Yeah, Kev makes sense to me.
Oh my god, our new Swedish friend.
Play Wolves.
Yeah, they're
Wolves at 4:30 in the morning. Can't wait.
Oh my god, is that the first game of the game week? Oh no, because there's Friday games.
There's all these games. My entire day will be decided by 6 a.m. before the sun's up over here in LA.
Really, everyone knows how much I hate a Friday deadline. Sneaky, really excited for NFO Fulham.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll definitely have both of these games on.
That's a great game.
Yeah, it should be fun.
That's a really fun one. Okay. Yeah. That's good. That's good. No anus slaps, we potted fucking 60 hours ago, so I'm not surprised.
And this is the final mug week. There's 5 fucking games. So if you want to blow a chip.
Oh my god!
And you're close.
Blow a chip.
Because this is. I don't think we've ever had a 2-game week mug.
I don't think so. Not even in May.
3. I think we've had 3 before.
Yeah, we've definitely had 3. We've definitely had 3 because international breaks.
Yeah, yeah. So,
but 2, yeah, I don't think so.
There you go.
There you go. Go for it. Check us out. Any last words?
See you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow, dude. Check us out. At FMLfield.com, follow us on Twitter at FMLfield, sportspage.com/FML. Subscribe, rate, review, yeah!